Pleased to be joined by Chadwick Moore, New York Times bestselling author of Tucker, the biography of Tucker Carlson. Also contributing editor at Spectator World, and you can find his musings at his Substack, substack.com/@ChadwickMoore. Substack.com/@ChadwickMoore. Chadwick, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me on. Great to be back with you.
Yeah, good to have you. So the Elk Grove, California situation, I mean, this is nothing new, but it is, I guess, extending down into lower grades, and I think it still comes as a surprise to a lot of parents. It certainly surprised those moms and dads you heard from, though, I don't know why anybody would be surprised if you were paying attention these days.
That parent nailed it. What the hell?
Yeah,
Elementary school? Why are you talking to elementary schools about gayness and elementary school students about sexuality and gayness and forming a club? Look, I don't remember what kind of clubs existed when I was in elementary school, maybe sports or other hobbies. There certainly weren't many social clubs, but that's even besides the point. I mean, it's grotesque. It seems like some people should, at the very least, be fired over this, but I'm not sure if that will happen.
People being fired out of, in a government school system? I mean, aren't you cute?
You're right. I wasn't. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, this accusation of grooming keeps being leveled, largely because it keeps being appropriate to level. But I mean, what's your sense of like Gays Against Groomers and other sort of non-traditional allies with conservatives on this issue?
Well, it's I like those groups, and they're people they're gay people who absolutely realize that first of all, there's no such thing as a gay child or a transgender child. These are prepubescent human beings that don't have a sexuality. So there's that. There's another, but I think the bigger issue at stake that these groups stand for is that they see that this sort of behavior from an extremely small, extremely twisted brand of their community, and I think it's probably not even a lot of gay people doing this. I think it's probably a lot of overzealous straight people who are forming these clubs, but they realize that it is bad for everyone, that it's playing into this old stereotype that gay people for decades and decades and decades fought against. Older gay people I know used to tell me that how hard they fought to get away from this stigma that all gay people are pedophiles. And those were, hard-won battles that resulted in, greater acceptance in gay marriage, etc. So you have these groups coming in now targeting children. It's taking us back. And these groups, you have gay groups that are fighting against this because they see that. They see that it's hurting public opinion. For the first time ever, you have a drop in support for what they call LGBT rights in this country. Now, of course,
right.
The liberal media spins that as, well, that's because a bunch of MAGA hat people on the internet are all bigots. No, it's because of stories like this. This is why people were taking a step back and saying, wait a minute, what's really going on here? The whole love is love mantra that they used to preach about gay marriage is going a little too far, and it's only a matter of time before they want to add a P to the alphabet community, and you know what that stands for.
No. You mean a map to the alphabet? But I mean,
minor attracted persons.
But the what the hell is a good question. Just sort of visceral. Like, I mean, this just is so obviously beyond the pale. Do I really need to make that point? And you do, unfortunately. But a friend of mine has a good way of approaching this. She says, "I just ask teachers like this woman in Elk Grove, California, who started this LGBTQ plus club that and didn't apprise parents. Why do you insist on talking about sex with my minor child, my minor son or my daughter? What is your? Why do you insist on talking about sex with my minor child, my minor son or daughter? I just think you ask. I just think that's how you put people, in the crucible. In government schools and at school board meetings, just ask that question when you have something like this pop up, because they're not ready for that answer. I mean, they'll give you some sort of, I'm sure, sophistry about inclusiveness and being an ally and preventing othering and so. But I mean, it says it without saying it. What they're doing,
Oh yeah. Well, my theory about Drag Queen Story Hour is that it's all, with the drag queens who go to the libraries and whatever. I think it's all straight women who had a lot of gay friends when they were in college. They got married, they had kids. The gay friends don't want to hang out anymore, and so they miss that. So they want to bring their kids in, and they want to pay a drag queen $50 to stumble out from his hangover to read a story, and then they feel like they're cool again. That's my whole theory on Drag Queen Story Hour.
Interesting.
Does it seem like those have died down, though, recently, or are they just not being covered as much? I mean, we used to have, drag queen bingo, but you shouldn't be yelling bingo in a library. And then, people were following, it's like Alex, what was his name? Oh, I can't remember his name, not Alex. What's that guy's name, Dan? Who started out at council meetings?
Oh, Alex Stein,
Yeah, Alex Stein. Like, he would be following that. Now it's kind of gone dormant.
Yeah, or you see, it seems like because there were so many videos that came out that were so shocking about in bars where children were seeing drag queens very scantily clad and giving them money and whatnot. And maybe they have taken a step back, or we're just not hearing about it. It seems like maybe they've taken a step back because I've never met a gay person who's on board with this stuff. I really can't figure it out. I understand that they think with gay clubs in schools, a lot of them think, well, if only I'd had something like that, maybe I would have hated myself less when I was growing up. Okay, I understand your reasoning on that. This is not how you approach it, but that's a completely different story from having kids in bars with drag queens performing in front of them.
Maybe it's just because Dylan Mulvaney is sucking up all the oxygen. He just released his latest video, Days of Girlhood, which is well produced. I wonder, all the attention is drawn to Dylan, maybe.
Yeah, I like that. I think you might be onto something there.
Yeah, right. I had to get to this piece that you wrote at your Substack. I mean, when you get cannibalized by your allies, right? RuPaul committed a faux pas with respect to this online bookstore he set up.
That's right. RuPaul set up an online bookstore promising to sell all books. And I do believe RuPaul, I've followed his career for a while, and I do believe he's of that older generation that believes in free expression. He rarely says hateful things about conservatives. He's not a very triggered person. I think that censorship deeply offends him. Now, of course, the reason why he would launch an online bookstore is because, this banned books thing is in the news that, they're eliminating LGBT books from libraries. Well, actually, no, it's only straight up pornography they're getting rid of public school libraries. So he does this bookstore, and then suddenly activists discover that he's selling some books by people they don't like. There's like 10 million titles on here. It's just sort of it's a marketplace that sucks from Ingram Books or whatever.
Yeah.
So they throw a fit. It was books from people like Libs of TikTok, Kirk Cameron, who's the former child.
Oh my gosh, Kirk Cameron! No, the little kid from Growing Pains. That's the Antichrist, right? Yeah.
So they went after RuPaul, their elder statesman, and RuPaul, of course, relented, got rid of the books. But as I found, if you go on the website, you can still find plenty of books by Pat Robertson, Ann Coulter, Tucker Carlson. They don't have my book on there, unfortunately, but I think I'm going to write them and see if they'll include it. And but the whole thing with this banned book mythology the left has is so funny because they forget that they were the ones that first started banning books from schools, and it was books like Huckleberry Finn because it used antiquated language. Because whenever the left is exposed being tyrannical and gruesome and hideous, they have to try to spin it onto the right and say, no, you're the ones banning books. You're the censorship class, as if anyone believes that. And then something like this happens, and they just can't help themselves, and they have to attack poor RuPaul for selling books that they don't like.
And then the response to the attacks is to grovel, to apologize, and to say, oh my gosh, we thought we wanted a marketplace, but then now we realize what we're really supposed to be doing is platforming uncelebrated or underappreciated authors from marginalized communities, regardless of the quality of whatever their offerings are.
Right, yeah. We forgot our point isn't to sell books, it's to sell crappy books that nobody reads if they come from an author who ticks a certain number of boxes. And so and that's, of course, RuPaul, though, something that they don't like to admit is RuPaul is such an aggressive capitalist. Again, if you sort of follow his career, he he owns a ranch in Montana and he has fracking on it before he drives away.
That's awesome. That's perfect. Yeah, right. RuPaul, the drag queen on the East Coast, and head of the Dutton Ranch on the the Big Sky Country. That's awesome. That's so perfect. Oh gosh, Chadwick Moore, New York Times bestselling author of Tucker, the biography of Tucker Carlson. Also contributing editor at Spectator World, and again, his Substack, where you can get entertaining stories like this one on RuPaul. Substack.com/@ChadwickMoore. Chadwick, thanks as always.
Thank you.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com.